But one program succeeded, and succeeded in a big way. And its headmaster, Shimon Waronker, is here today, and I'm delighted that he is. Please stand up, Shimon. The private word, Shimon, is that you were so damn good at your job that the Department of Education just said, let him do what he wants. And you did. And so when you walk into the New American Academy in Crown Heights, it looks like any of the 1,750 public school buildings in the city. But the children are wearing uniforms, and they are smiling as they enter the building. That's always an especially good sign. At the New American Academy, teachers work in teams of 4, headed by a master teacher, who, by the way, makes $120,000 a year, about 20% more than other experienced teachers earn. The master teachers and their 3 colleagues meet for 90 minutes at the beginning of each school day to collaborate over the day's lessons, while the children eat breakfast and go to gym. Yes, breakfast and gym, just like some of us. The master teacher conducted the class on the day I was there, while her 3 colleagues worked with smaller groups of children, grouped by reading ability. The whole day worked that way. Experience, close contact, focused individualization between teacher and child. Is it heaven? Well, to a certain extent. Some of that goes on in various forms in a very few other schools in the system, because there are some schools doing some wonderful things, without question. But it's a drop in the bucket, and we want a full bucket without a hole in it. Tiered levels of teaching based on experience and talent, rewarded by influence and salary, should be the norm, not a single example in a school system with 1,750 schools and 1.1 million children. Shimon, I'm sure, will be delighted to provide more details later. But I offer this example as just a hint of what is possible or could be possible in every school if we have the will to make it possible. I'm talking about villains here, the elements that have brought America's system of public education to the lowest point we've ever seen, a point so low that instead of helping teachers every day in every way, we're blaming them, and in some cases trying to shame them. We don't even do that to politicians. I said there are 3 villains, schools of education being number 1. The other 2 could be grouped together because in a practical business sense, they are grouped together. Big business making money in schools because the money is there, and testing, which has become a substitute for teaching, not a support system for it. Let's go back in time for a moment. Do you remember No More Phonics? Teach them to read the whole word. And do you remember New Math? Well, changing the way reading was taught because children could read, but there were problems with comprehension, and children could add and subtract and multiply, but they didn't understand the true meaning of the numbers, has left us with grown-ups who still have trouble reading and high school graduates coming up in a few weeks who cannot make change with without a calculator or cash register. And test results in math and English, which have remained dismal for the last 20 years. This all got started in California, the new reading approach and new math. Do you know that today California is among the lowest rated school systems in all 50 states? And what started it? The need for academic publishing industry to find new sources of income. Changing the way reading and math were taught, really changing it, would mean an entirely new growth industry in those 2 school subjects alone. Because then and now, it's all about English and math. Let's talk about now. In the last 10 years, we have seen a new industry grow in education. It's called testing. And it is costing us, you and me, hundreds of millions of dollars in the development and printing and distributing and marking of tests. Do you know anybody who works at Pearson? They smile a great deal because they own the franchise. But wait, in business, success should breed success. Testing isn't really working to make anything better. So what needs to be done is to put the blame on the teachers who are in charge. How do we fix that? Make some money by doing it. By developing a very comprehensive evaluation system, pages and pages of evaluating judgments, 116 of them in New York. Entire little books for the evaluation of each teacher in every single school. Who's printing and evaluating all of those materials? Guess who? Those smiling folks at Pearson. Introduce me to a principal who needs such a booklet to truly evaluate each of his or her teachers, and I'll tell you you've got the wrong principal. Introduce me to a principal and every teacher in his or her school who doesn't know the good teachers from the mediocre or bad ones, right at this very moment, and I tell you nonsense. Many of you know that Pearson has been challenged in court because it will not release the questions and answers for their tests so they can be used to help improve teaching. But I bet that lawsuit won't take the smile off their faces. Because they've got help. Help that counts. Political help. All the way up to the President of the United States. I don't know or care what you think about George W. Bush or Barack Obama, and even though I've mentioned President Obama's Secretary of Education, I'll bet few will remember those secretaries who served in the Bush 8 years. But I do know this. You know No Child Left Behind, and now you know Race to the Top. Political answers to educational problems. No Child gave us testing. Race to the Top has given us comprehensive teacher evaluations. And both of these programs provide lots of free money for the school system who buy into them.